Hey, this is Meridith Elliott Powell, and once again, I am on the road today, but it doesn't mean that I'm going to skip our favorite time on Saturday. It is 9 a.m. Eastern, and it is time for Sales Logic. I am hanging out here with my illustrious co-host, Mark Hunter.
And I'm not sitting in the Asheville airport like you are right now. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever it is.
Yeah, there could be a good chance I'm going to be sitting here all day. I'm trying to take my first international flight, and already things are not going well.
So. Been there, done that, got the t-shirt. Yep.
All right, well, we got a good show planned today. I'll go ahead and hit the video and let's rock and roll.
Prospect with integrity, we will get customers who have integrity. Integrity is the foundation from which everything is built on.
You better understand value. But at the end of the day, sales is a relationship business. It is a people business. It is an emotional business.
This is Sales Logic.
All right. Sales Logic, 9 a.m. Eastern on Saturday morning. Mark, we already got some people chiming in. Good morning to Bonnie. Good morning to Victor. And as we dive into the show, I'm super excited about the topic today because I think it's a good one, whether you manage a sales team or you're more of a lone individual. But before Mark kind of tells us what we're doing today, let me give you an overview of how the show works. Every single Saturday morning, we come to you right at 9 o'clock Eastern. We've got a hot topic that we're going to cover, something that's relevant for all of us to improve our sales efforts. And we take a question from you, the audience. That's the absolute best part of this show. We highlight a book. And last but not least, so that you get return on investment, we give you a lightning round. So, Mark, what's up for today?
Well, the topic today is how do we build capacity into the sales process? Stop and think about that for a moment because, hey, business is on fire. The question today comes from Muno, and I hope I'm pronouncing his name right, out of Taiwan. Love the global reach that we have. The question is, we have more business than we can handle and not enough salespeople to take care of the demand. We have tried to hire, but the market's just too tight. How do we get more capacity out of our current sales team members? Don't want to miss these opportunities.
Yeah, I think this is kind of the question of the year, right? How do you get more sales capacity? Because I don't have a single client that is not struggling to find salespeople right now. And the irony of it is the amount of business coming through the doors is absolutely huge. So, first of all, you're taking the right approach. You've got to get more capacity out of the people that you have on the team. Here's the good news is every salesperson, including Mark, and me, we waste some time. So there is more capacity within your sales team. So know that. Number one is I'd say that you really need to get focused. That's your first strategy is really start to look at where you're getting the biggest return on investment. Are you focused on the right target market? How tight are your sales conversations? How good is your research? So that you're making sure that every client's qualified and every sales call is really worth the time and effort.
Hey, you're stealing my language. It's all about that ICP. Hey, Jack, great to have you watching. I was trading messages with him about an hour ago, getting ready for the show. It's all about your ICP. This whole thing, you get more capacity by simplifying and being focused. Now let's break these down. Meridith did a great job talking about being focused. Let's talk about simplify. How easy is it for your customers to do business with you? We get too caught up making things overly complicated. And what happens is when we get outside of our ICP, ideal customer profile, you've got to stay laser focused. You and I both know individuals who spend a tremendous amount of effort and time chasing deals that just aren't in the sweet spot. Don't do that. Stay laser focused. You'll find more business. You'll really appeal to your customers, creating a lot more value, but you've got to stay focused.
Yeah, I would also say, I'd want to gather up my sales team, and the exact question that you're asking to Mark and to me is a question you need to ask them, because if you want to get more capacity out of your sales team, they need to have skin in the game. They need to be a part of it. So literally say to them exactly what you've said to us. Number one, we have so much business coming through the door. How fortunate and lucky are we? We know it's tight and difficult to find salespeople right now. So we want to tighten the sales process. Everybody get involved and give your ideas on where we can get more efficient, more effective, and more productive. That way, it won't be a strategy that's driven top down. You'll have them having skin in the game, and just having them have skin in the game, that's going to give you more sales capacity.
And that might mean changing the compensation package. I was talking to an individual this week where the compensation package was really about 80% base and only about 20% commission. Well, guess what? I'm only going to stretch myself so much. And oh, by the way, 50% of that 20% was based on what the total team does, not against this individual person. So you may want to say, hey, what do I have to do from adjusting the compensation standpoint? Here's the other piece. You talk about getting the team involved, really do. You've got to come up with what are our best practices around each step of the sales process. Too much time is wasted trying to regenerate. Now, I'm not about, let's have a canned presentation that we use for this person. No, I'm not about that. But what I am about is about having this resource library that I can access very quickly and very, very systematically pull together the right information for the right person at the right time. That's my whole objective. Is I want more CFT, customer facing time. And I can't get customer facing time if I'm spending hours and hours preparing for one simple presentation.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Mark and Morris, you are right. The sales team has got to have skin in the game. Kind of keeping with what Mark was talking about is that start to think about or engage the sales team in asking, what are the behaviors that we do that are customer facing, and what, if anything, could we offload to somebody else? Maybe a part-time employee you could hire, or maybe someplace where you have more capacity. Attorneys are famous for this. When the real estate market is hot, they move all the young attorneys over to the real estate department to kind of help and support those attorneys who are closing loans like crazy. Then when the bottom falls out of the market, they move all the young attorneys over to bankruptcy and credit and start to move it over there, because those attorneys are going to be really busy. So think about your organization, or if you're an individual performer, where could you go? What things could you really offload? I just did this with my team. I just gave a few things that I used to never outsource. I always used to do them myself. But when I sat down and got real and I thought I could be making a sales call, this really isn't the highest and best use of my time, given that honestly anybody else could do it. So realize that as a salesperson, you're the only person who can really sit down, have a conversation with a customer. The more you can do that, the more capacity you have to close sales.
You and I are tracking on the same lane, because I had that same conversation just yesterday with a couple members of my team. There were several things I realized, why am I doing this? Let's let them do it. And you know what? It's going to work out okay. Here's something that you really want to think about. How much of our time is being spent dealing with existing customers? Customer service takes up a tremendous amount of time. And okay, we're busy, but are we really productive? And I'm going to challenge salespeople. I'm going to challenge sales leaders. The customer service piece can be delegated to other people. I'm not trying to say, existing customers aren't important. No, they're important, but salespeople have to be going after getting the new business. I want to segment that. Go back to this whole CFT conversation that I mentioned earlier, customer facing time. I see too much customer facing time being with existing customers and not enough CFT, customer facing time, with new customers. That's where I want to focus. That's how I'm going to really get a lot more bandwidth to be able to really create a lot more sales.
Mark, you are so much more sophisticated than I am. Half the time we do these shows, it takes me forever to keep up with your acronyms. You're so on it with the sales game. And here Morris is right with you. It took me a second. I'm like, what's CFT? Oh, customer facing time. So Morris, how do you encourage your salespeople to get more CFT? Number one is hold them accountable to more CFT. Salespeople go where the cookie is. They go where the reward is. So number one, you need to be holding them accountable to both behaviors and results. If you want them to be in front of customers more, then reward that behavior. Let them know that's valued. Call them out in sales meetings for that. Let them know that's what you're checking up on and what you're following up on. Also, redefine the role of a salesperson. If you haven't clearly defined how important and how valuable customer facing time is, then point that out again. Years ago, when I worked in the medical field, we were going through a lot of cutbacks. We were government regulation was decreasing our reimbursement, and we realized that the more the surgeon stayed in the operating room, the more money we would make. So we started to redesign everybody's roles to keep the doctors in front of in the operating room, and everybody got rewarded the more surgeries the doctors did. You need to do the same thing with your sales team.
Wow, there's so much there. And if you want to stop and think about this, we're recording this right now in November. As you begin looking at year end and next year, maybe a KPI you need to have, key performance indicator, needs to be wrapped around new customer development, new leads that you're developing. You inspect what you expect. And your salespeople will go after what they think is they're being watched over. Well, watch over them and call them out. Just like you said, call them out in sales meetings, talk to them, ask them. This has to be a fundamental piece. Too many sales leaders spend all their time telling salespeople, oh, would you check on this customer? Would you check on this? And it's always with an existing customer. And not enough focus is placed on getting the new business. There's a tremendous amount of new business. And here's the whole thing. And I'm going to go back to the question. We've left that question behind. We've gone on to the topic, which is absolutely spot on. But let me tell you something, Mano. In Taiwan, you bring up this good issue that there's more business. And you know what? There's probably even more business that you don't even see. And that's the whole thing. Once you start shifting your focus to being as incredibly efficient, simplifying the process, staying focused in your ICP, it's amazing how many more new opportunities you're going to suddenly find yourself with.
So true. The other thing is that if you really want to build capacity within the sales team, you really need to look at your sales team and ask yourself, do they have that capacity? The one thing I have learned about hiring salespeople is that somebody who wants to stay behind the desk, I cannot get out into the field. And somebody who wants to be in the field, I cannot get to stay behind a desk. So if this is a time when you need capacity in that sales team and you still have people who are far more comfortable taking care of the operational pieces of sales, it's time to move them into another role, maybe a support role. We did this years ago. Jack will remember this when I worked for First Citizens Bank and he worked with me there, but I turned into the hunter, and we took somebody who didn't want to leave the office and turned her into a skinner. And we were unbelievably productive because I have no bandwidth. I have no desire to do a single detail. Once I land the deal, I am bored and I want to do the next thing. And Kathy would come in behind me and she would pick up all those things. And the capacity for both of us really improved because I could sell 3 times what she could. She could follow through 3 times better than I could.
I find it hard to believe that you would get bored doing something. I've never seen that in you. I've never seen that in you. You're like, yeah. Here's something that we really have to stop and ask ourselves. It's easy to sit there and say, oh, I can get more business if I just ask my salespeople to work another 5, 10, 15 hours. I'm going to challenge you to not say that I'm going to work more hours. I'm going to work hours more efficiently.
So true.
Bill Gates always used to make the statement. He would say, I want to work with incredibly busy people. I want to work with those people. Why? Because they're incredibly efficient with their time. Think about that. Before I sit there and say, oh, I'm going to add hours, or, if you're a solopreneur, oh, I can get more business by working more hours. I'm going to challenge you. Make the most of the hours you got first. before you think about adding more hours.
Yeah, and I think a great way to do that is a tool that you guys have heard me talk on here before, but I would also, I gather up my sales team at least on a quarterly basis, and I would reflect on what we're doing. What we're doing that's working, what's making us money, what's moving us forward, where are we wasting time, what's holding us back, and what do we need to be doing that we're not doing. The power of focusing on the sales process is going to bring so much return on investment. And even when you have the best intentions out there, I mean, every week I don't get up on Monday morning and go, wow, how many hours can I waste time this week? But you find that you do waste time. I'm involved in things that I shouldn't be involved in, or I take phone calls that I shouldn't be involved in. I'm about to waste a lot of time today because I have to figure out how to help Air Canada find documents that they lost so I can travel internationally. I will not make this mistake again. So you can always learn from that.
Here's something to keep in mind: that the old expression before cell phones, before laptop computers, the most productive day of anyone's work year was the day before they went on vacation. Because right.
That's so
now,
true.
of course, we just take it all with us on vacation. But you know what? Maybe that's the mentality we have to have. It is amazing. I mean, I'm going to go back to some doctors and so forth, some surgeons I know. I happen to know a lot of them. And it is amazing how efficient they are, because they know exactly what each minute of their day is worth from a revenue standpoint. And that's the same way, because I see too many people kind of easing into the quarter, easing in. And we're going to see this. We're going to see this in the first quarter coming up here in a bit. We're going to see people kind of, I'm going to kind of ease in, and by the middle of January, I'll be off and running. Well, guess what? You've already lost 2 weeks.
Yeah, so true.
You have to have a level of urgency with everything. Hey, talking about urgency, time is slipping along. We should probably, Jack has got a great comment here.
Yeah, it's,
Wow.
boy, I'm so glad that Jack is on this, because he's left out. He has brought to our attention something that we have left out. We live in a world of tremendous abundance. We all need to look at our pricing and make certain that we are earning what we should, given the limited bandwidth we all have. If you want to increase capacity, Jack is spot on. Raise your frickin' price. Really, is it worth your time and effort to be doing what you're doing? And if the answer is yes, you also can increase your prices. And, one of my goals this year is to increase my profitability and decrease my workload. And I was with a group yesterday, and one guy kind of laughed about that. And I said, why do you think that's funny? I said, that's what I should be doing every single year. Such a great point. Thanks, Jack.
There is no reason for us not to be maximizing our revenue. And many times it is by increasing price. Hey, I love this comment from Morris, the power of focus. Stop wasting time. This is a great comment. Yeah, it is. Here's the question I'm going to challenge people. Are you coming into each day with a clearly defined set of goals and expectations? And again, that's singular. That's singular activity. You and I do this a lot. I mean, we're very laser focused on these are the goals we're going to accomplish today. And when you stay committed to those, it's amazing what you can get done. But anyway, hey, we need to jump on, because we got I was not familiar with this book when you teed it up this morning. So I got to let you talk about it.
Oh, wow. Then, Mark, this is a book you need to really read. Traction by Gina Wickman. I would have it with me today, but I am in the airport trying to fly, and I'm trying to do a carry-on, so I didn't want to have anything extra with me. But if you have not read Traction by Gina Wickman, I'll put it in the chat here in a second. It really is about focus, about understanding what your objectives are, how to lead meetings around this, how to get the team engaged. I have several clients who use this system, and it really gets you highly focused. I've read the book a couple of times. He also has a great book called Rocket Fuel.
I'll say, I have not read that book. I just looked it up on Amazon, and I'll get you the Kindle app that you can put on your iPad so you can travel lighter.
Nice. Yeah, I don't even. I've got a laptop with me, so I didn't bring that piece either.
Wow. Hey, let's jump into the lightning round. Lightning round. Are you ready? Strategies to sell effectively, efficiently, and productively. And if you're viewing this, you're going to see there's Linda and George sitting directly behind Meredith. They're listening to the show. They're watching attentively.
I actually had a friend of mine come up here a minute ago and try to talk to me, and I was like, no, not unless you want to get on the show.
No.
That's right. That's right.
Okay.
All right. How to sell more productively. I would say number one, and again, we're filming this in November. So for December, I used the month of December to get my sales calls organized for 2022 so that I don't have to think about who I'm calling on. All of my CRM is updated. All of my information is correct. I use really good planning time so that I can hit the ground running and I don't have to waste any time in trying to get the specifics. I can just make calls.
Great. Simplify your process. Make it as easy as possible for your customers to say yes. Land and expand.
Land and expand. Also, reflect on what you're doing. Really ask yourself, at least on a quarterly basis, where did I spend my time effectively? What do I need to quit doing? And what could I do that could move my my business forward?
To sell effectively, you've got to understand your marketplace. You got to stay in your ICP. And that means to do that, you not only stay in your ICP, but you spend 15 to 30 minutes a day reading, learning, becoming an expert on your ICP. That's how you bring more value to your customers faster.
Yeah, if you want to sell more productively, you need to realize that a sales call is a privilege. A customer is giving you something that's incredibly valuable to them, and that is their time. Do not waste it. Go in prepared, go in to know where you're leading that call, and really use their time and your time efficiently.
Reframe your presentations. Make it not about a presentation, but make it about asking questions. Do a deep dive into all the questions that you ask, and you want to take all your questions to the next level to really uncover new insights, faster insights, better insights to create a deeper level of confidence and trust.
If you want to be more productive in sales, you really need to put together a strong follow-up strategy. Really, I believe that 30 to 40% of your calling time should be focused on the follow-up. You've done the heavy lift. You want to get that sale across the finish line. It's going to take a lot of follow-up to do it.
Spot on with that, because it's not about the sheer number of leads you have. It's about what you're doing with the leads. So that follow-up means you got to have a really good cadence. And that cadence is not just email. No. It's using email. It's using telephone. It's using every medium out there.
Yeah, and don't kid yourself. Don't go out there and make howdy doody calls. If it's not a good call, then don't make it. Don't say I have to do 2 or 3 or 5 calls today. So you're kidding yourself and doing something easy. Don't waste your time. Pick a quality candidate, somebody you can really help. Set that appointment up. Know what you're going in there and doing. Do it so that you're maximizing everybody's time. It's like wasting your time in exercise class. Don't do it.
Use what we've learned from COVID. Hey, it's amazing. Zoom, Teams, GoToMeeting, whatever it is. There's so many calls that you can make efficiently and effectively by using video, just like what we are using here if you happen to be watching us live.
Really ask yourself, if I would do it on a weekly basis, really ask yourself, are the calls that I'm making worth my time and effort? Where am I finding these customers? Am I going to the right networking events to really connect with the people that I need to connect to? Have I done enough to build my reputation in the marketplace?
That's right. Hey, I'll share one more, you share one more, and we'll close it down. Every week, reassess your process, reassess what you're doing, and be continuously looking to say, what can I improve? What can I take out? What can I add to continually make myself better?
I would say dissect to win, to do it with the whole sales team. When you land a really big deal, go back through it and ask yourselves why. What'd you do well? How'd you get in the door? What was it that appealed to the customer? Was there something different about why you selected this customer? Understand deeply why you got the win so everybody can learn from it. Mark, I want to answer Stratus's question here. How a new in-market challenger bank, a fintech, could build B2B sales capacity. What do you think?
Well, I think first of all, it starts with what's your marketing strategy to create the brand awareness, to create the education out there. And then you have to have a very tight laser sales approach to come back in and close it down. But it has to be a 2-pronged approach: marketing to create the awareness, and then sales.
Yeah, I was going to say that too. If you're new in market, I'm assuming you need to create the inflow. You need to get the deals and things coming to you, and you need to get yourself through the door. If that's where you are, then you need to focus more of your efforts on building reputation, understanding customer, problem positioning, solutions to those problems, why you're the right fit. As you do that, your sales opportunities are going to increase. That's where I do my time. That's where I would spend my time and effort.
Spot on. Great audience this morning, but hey, we need to close it down. So, hey, thank you for listening to Sales Logic this week. If you like what you hear, subscribe, rate, and review the show on your favorite podcast app. If something we've said has earned you a single dollar, consider telling a friend about our show. It's how we grow to help you grow. I'm Mark Hunter.
And I'm Meridith Elliott Powell.
Remember, when you sell with confidence and integrity,
uncertainty suddenly becomes your competitive advantage.
And the sale becomes logical.
All right. We will see you right here next week, 9 a.m. Eastern, for another episode of Sales Logic. Thanks so much, Jack. We really appreciate your comments. Everybody weighing in. You guys have been fantastic. We'll see you here next week. And everybody cross your fingers I make it to Canada.